a written production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our board meeting today. I'm Dale Lair, President of the 2022 Board of Directors. This regular meeting of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Board of Directors is audio and video recorded by RCSC management and staff. Please be advised that there will be no recording of this meeting by any individual. Please take out your cellular phones and electronic devices and check to ensure that they are on the silent mode. First order of business is a roll call of voting members by Secretary Lanevsky.
Okay. I will call the roll. Director Collins. Director Fimmel.
Good morning.
Director McAdam.
Good morning.
Treasurer Akins.
Good morning.
Vice President Agi.
Good morning.
I'm here. Director Nowakowski.
Good morning.
Director Wilson.
Here.
President Lair.
Here.
We have a quorum.
I would like to now introduce our timekeeper, parliamentarian, and management personnel. Our timekeeper, Tracy Busberger. Close? She's stepping in for Director Collins. Parliamentarian is Ray Chornecki. And our management staff, Bill Cook, General Manager.
Good morning, everybody.
Kevin McCurdy, Director of Finance.
Good morning.
Mike Woodprude, Director of Buildings and Infrastructure. Chris Herring, Director of Operations. Brian Duthu, Director of Golf and Grounds. Jolynn Higgins, Communication and RCSC Marketing Coordinator and also acting as our Corporate Executive Coordinator. And Teresa Serino, Director of Events and Entertainment, also in the booth upstairs. Thank you, Teresa. I'd also like to recognize Alan Kleinhans and Mike Crawford, audiovisual engineers. Is there anybody I missed? Nope. I would also like to take this time to welcome all RCSC members who are attending our meeting for the first time. Welcome. Approval of minutes. The minutes of the February 24th, 2022 meeting were posted for the director's review. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Director McAdam.
Yes, Madam President. I think we need to relook at a statement on page 4 under board comments. That is the follow-up to the question I had asked the general manager about whether the board had given approval on the increase in the projected cost for the Mountain View project. The statement as it currently reads says, General
Can you tell us where it is on page 4?
Under board comments, the second paragraph.
Under board comments, the second paragraph. Okay.
So the current statement says, General Manager Cook replied that yes, the $40 million was approved. I believe that word should be when. The PIF budget was approved. And my concern is that this, unfortunately, could leave the impression for somebody looking at this at some point in the future that the board approved the increase from $17.5 million to $40 million in a similar fashion to the way that it approved the increase in the Viewpoint Lake repair budget from $6 to $8 million. And as a result, I would propose amending the statement to say, General Manager Cook replied that the $40 million was approved as part of a larger 15-year PIF budget, but not as a standalone item.
Is there any opposition to the correction Any? If not, I hope someone's writing this down, because I'm not. Okay, if not, then we'll accept it as amended. Are there any other additions or corrections? Okay, being no corrections or additions, additionally, the minutes from the February 24th, 2022 meeting are approved. Thank you. As amended. We don't have committee recommendations. I'm sorry that we did have one, but it was pulled, so hopefully you were made aware of that before you came in. Our first item of business is a motion to reconsider the third reading to amend bylaws Article 5, titled Board of Directors, Section 5, titled Meetings of the Board. Director Fimmel.
Point of order.
Yes, Director McAdam.
So, Madam President, I believe that this motion violates the terms of our parliamentary rules and thus is out of order. According to Robert's Rules of Order newly revised, paragraph 37:10B, such a motion needs to be made at the meeting where the motion failed. As that meeting has concluded, it is now too late to reconsider.
Overruled. And I will get into the reason why, okay?
Could we hear the reason now? Because otherwise I would like to appeal this decision.
Okay, just a second. Okay. Historically, the sessions of the Board of Meetings run from January through December, one calendar year. In January, a new board is presented. Officers and committee assignments are reestablished with the new board. That's 625, 626, Section 4. The business of the RCSC board is not concluded at the end of each meeting. Currently, business requires 3 readings of each motion.
Madam President, Robert's Rules, and perhaps our parliamentarian can help us here, defines the difference between a meeting and a session in Robert's Rules 8:4 with these words: in a permanent society whose bylaws provide for a regular weekly, monthly, or quarterly meeting that go through an established order of business in a single afternoon or evening, each meeting of this kind normally completes a separate session. If the board wishes to define that each meeting is only part of a year-long session, then it has to specify that in the bylaws, which I believe our bylaws do not do. RONR 8:2 in parentheses 2.
Could you repeat? I'm sorry. Could I hear that? Your citation?
Your citation?
First of all, in RONR 37:10B states that the motion needs to be made at the meeting where the motion failed. And then in Robert's Rules 8:4 is the sentence that I quoted, that in a permanent society whose bylaws provide for regular meetings, each meeting normally completes a separate session.
Normally. Mm-hmm. So are you asking for clarification on the session versus the meeting? Is that your question?
I'm not really asking a question. I'm simply saying that the Robert's Rules of Order declares that this motion would have had to have been brought forward at the last meeting, and because it wasn't, it's out of order. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that the question boils down to what's a meeting and what's a session. Because if we are in a session, it can be carried over to the very next meeting in that session.
Not according to what I just read.
According to Robert's Rules, that is true. And let me bring it up, because I certainly have done my homework. It does state in here, The motion to reconsider can, in general, be applied to a vote that was either adopted or rejected, a motion, and it proposes no specific change in the decision, but simply that the original question be reopened. I'm looking, just a sec. I know I've got it. Okay. I'm going to take a 5-minute recess so we can get the answer. Okay. I know it's. Thank you for your patience. Director McAdam, your point of order is not well taken. Director Fimmel, motion to reconsider?
Yes, ma'am. I move for reconsideration of the third reading of Vice President Egge's motion with regard to the board member exchange.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Secretary Lanevsky. Okay. It has been moved and seconded to reconsider the third reading to amend bylaws Article 5, titled Board of Directors, Section 5, titled Meetings of the Board. The motion to reconsider can be applied to a vote that was either adopted or rejected. In this case, the motion in question was rejected. Reference 37-3. Before we proceed, Director Fimmel, did you vote with the prevailing side on the motion to be reconsidered at the February 25th Board of Directors meeting?
Yes.
Reference 37-8A. Director Fimmel, is it correct that the motion to be reconsidered proposes no specific change, but that the original motion by Vice President Egge be reopened?
Yes.
Reference 37-3. The motion to reconsider the amendment to bylaws Article 5, titled Board of Directors, Section 5, titled Meetings of the Board is acknowledged by the chair. Reference 37-5. I will read this again. Historically, the sessions for the board meetings run from January through December of one calendar year. In January, a new board is presented. Officers and committee assignments are reestablished with the new board. The business of the RCSC board is not concluded at the end of each session, each meeting. Currently, business requires 3 readings for each motion. Precedents: in January, a motion that was brought forward from the previous year needed to start over in the new session. It must be stated at this time that if the motion is defeated and cannot be brought back for reconsideration, the essence of that motion can not be brought forward again during this session. Directors, the essence of this motion is to legally accommodate the board member exchange. Failure of this motion will not permit the reconsideration or consideration of a board member exchange until 2023. With that being said, the motion, again, before you is the reconsideration of the third reading. Do we have any members who signed up to speak to this motion?
We do, Madam President. Nancy Greathouse.
That one is easier than I thought.
Oh, and another one, Christy Svensson.
Nancy Greathouse, 149885. I was really initially going to just ask or just say that I was against this because there's no information as far as what this motion to reconsider is actually about. I'm even more confused with what we just heard. I guess it seems like we just jumped from one recommendation to the next recommendation just with a comment that says it was not well taken. I don't understand how we then got all the way over to the reconsideration of the board member exchange. My comments on the board member exchange, because I said before I was against that for the reasons that you're taking members' comments out of it, and they're not going to be able to do that. And we also don't know, I mean, a lot of people here have not been here since eons when they had board member exchanges before. We don't even know what that looks like. And to change a bylaw and start saying we're going to have member board meetings and put all these changes in, and we don't even know what that looks like. I think it should be something that we should have a meeting maybe and say, let's just do a test for a month, 2 months, whatever. Look at it, see what the heck it looks like. See how it flows, see what members are talking about, see what you guys are talking about. Have an exchange of that, but not change a bylaw. Changing a bylaw, it should be considered to be more serious than what I think it's been taken over the last couple of years. There's a list out there of bylaws that have been changed, and some of them make absolutely no sense in my personal opinion on some of them. The reason is we don't know a lot of times why they were changed. The notes on the meetings do not explain what the for and against was for. If somebody tries to go back after being on this meeting or on the board a couple of years from now, go back and look at the meetings to see what was discussed, it's so insignificant, it just blows my mind. So anyway, I'm against this because I don't think we should be bringing this back up. If somebody wants to bring it up as a member exchange later on, if it's 2023, fine. What difference does it make at this point? Thank you.
I second what she just said. There's no more to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'm signed up. I just didn't fill in the last blank.
That is correct. You did not say what you wanted to speak about.
There was only one thing I could speak about.
Okay, then Jean Totten.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Jean Totten, 148753. President Lear and fellow board members, I wrote you a couple of emails this week. I can't tell you how disappointed I am. President Lear, excuse me, you started out in January telling us that you wanted this year to be different, that you wanted us to work together. This is not working together. You're not giving us a chance. I explained to you and several other people, I know you've had a lot of people explain, we want a member exchange. We appreciated all the work that you put into it. We just didn't want it, number one, to be another bylaw change. We didn't want it to be, it wasn't ever fully explained, ever, anywhere. You mentioned it was going to be for the members to run, but you never gave us any information on that. And you said you were still taking away our right, excuse me, the fact that you had allowed us in the past to speak at formal board meetings. You were going to take that away, and you were going to instill a 2-hour limit. I think that if we had the board member exchanges, you wouldn't need a 2-hour limit. Most of the discussion would be taking place in those exchanges. I don't understand why you can't meet us halfway and just do some experimenting in the next 3 months. Let us try out the exchanges and see how they work and how they go. And if they aren't like you want, then do what you want to do. But to sit up there today and first of all, not really know what you're saying, it's very frustrating. We're members. This should belong to us. Thank you.
I'm going to make a comment on that. First of all, Jean, I thank you for your letter. I tried to get back to you. I think this boils down to compromise. It really does. We're letting go one meeting a month, business meeting, and devoting it entirely to member concerns and questions and comments. That's way more than 3 minutes at the end of the meeting. We're not taking away member comments. You will always have an ability to comment on agenda items. This is a business meeting. In a business meeting, we are looking for your information and your comments, but it should be on the agenda items, the business of the day. It shouldn't be at the end of the meeting where people can come up and talk about anything, because a lot of times you get up and ask questions, and it's not the right format. It's not the right way. We don't have the ability to get back to you, to talk to you, to ask more questions. So what I see is you have this opportunity, and I mentioned more than once that, we can tweak this. We can play with this. If it's not to your liking, the board member exchange, it's not spelled out how it has to be, which gives us a little leeway to make it what we want it to be. But what happened is you got hung up on the comments and the open mic at the end of the meeting that you threw away the board member exchange. There was a motion that it's not limited to 2 hours. So you threw away a meeting that was totally directed to you in order to keep something which really, according to Robert's rules, is out of order. I'm sorry, I made accommodations for this, but when you stop, when you won't even compromise a little bit, and I've gotten quite a few threatening emails from people. I'm sitting up here as a volunteer trying to do the best job I can do and try to do it correctly. And that means following the rules. And you may not agree with that, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree and still be nice to one another. But I would urge you to be open to the board member exchange. If it's not what you like, you can tell me at the board member exchange what you don't like, and we can change it. So that's my comment back to you, and I'm sorry to take up time from the meeting. The motion before you is reconsideration of the third reading to amend bylaws Article 5, titled Board of Directors, Section 5, titled Meetings of the Board, as previously presented. Director Fimmel, as maker of the motion to reconsider, do you wish to speak first in favor of its adoption?
Yes, ma'am. Our community was founded on the principle of self-governance. And despite the change in generations, self-governance remains as important today to this community as before. We cannot and we must not let anyone erode our community's founding principles. What we face today is not an idyllic situation. For me, as your representative, it is important that the members retain a voice in this community, even if it is not the voice many of the members would choose. Even so, at this moment and at this time, I remain compelled to ensure that the membership continues to have a voice in the operation of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Director McAdam.
Should this motion fail, and I actually hope it does, not because I don't want board member exchanges, but because I think that, well, first of all, I think that the motion is not in order, as I mentioned earlier, but secondly, I think that we have heard clearly from the membership that the extraneous baggage that goes along with this motion is not welcome, and I think that there is another solution, a compromise solution. And I would like to point out to you, President Lehrer, that, or to remind you that we had a long discussion about this, and I actually did present to you a compromise solution. And my intention is that if this motion fails, I have actually prepared an alternative motion to establish member board exchanges on a trial basis that I plan to bring forward under new business. I trust that that will be welcome to everyone. I think that going back and having a clean motion that is not tied up with the issues that have caused such consternation among the community would be a much better path forward.
Discussion? Okay, hearing no further discussion. Secretary Lanefsky, can you please take the roll call vote on the motion to reconsider?
Director McAdam.
No.
Treasurer Akins.
Yes.
Vice President Agi.
Yes.
Director Nowakowski.
No.
Director Wilson.
Yes.
Director Collins isn't here. Director Famo.
Yes.
I vote yes. Without?
I vote yes.
Okay. Okay, the vote is 6 yes, 2 no.
All right, the motion passes, is adopted. The next item of business is the third reading of the motion to amend bylaws Article 5, titled Board of Directors, Section 5, titled Meetings of the Board. Vice President Agi.
Yes, Madam President. As you already stated, I move to amend bylaws Article 5, titled Board of Directors, Section 5, titled Meetings of the Board as follows. Starting with all meetings of the board and board member exchanges, excluding executive sessions, shall be open and video recorded. Member comments at board meetings will be limited to posted motions. In paragraph 2, strike the word 3 and add 2 in reference to how many times a motion should be read. And then paragraph 3, board member exchanges will generally be held on the second Monday of the month at 9 a.m. at Sundial Auditorium. Adding board meetings will generally be held on the last Thursday of the month at 9 a.m. at the Sundial Auditorium. I'd like to add the words for board member exchanges. Board meetings and board member exchanges may occur earlier in the month. During November and December, due to holidays, board meetings and board member exchange schedules will be posted in the RCSC facilities and are published in the newsletter Sunviews and/or on RCSC website. Board and member exchanges and board meetings will last for approximately, didn't we strike that? The 2 hours?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
that was strike.
Okay. I'm reading from 5 or 6 copies, so strike that, please. So that's it.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second it.
Second by Secretary Lanefsky. Okay.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
that was.
Division of question? I believe that there are 3 separate paragraphs with 3 separate ideas in this motion and the second, and I'm asking for a division of the question so each one is voted independently.
Well, before I approve it, explain what you want.
I'd like to see the first paragraph, which is the addition of the member comments will be limited to posted motions as a separate motion.
Excuse me? This was brought up at the last meeting. We're going back to where it was last time.
Right.
You brought this up last time.
Yeah, but it's a brand-new motion being brought forward.
Well, it was
Okay.
voted on and it failed. I'm going to ask the parliamentarian because I'm not sure.
I wasn't here.
Well, I'm telling you.
Okay. There was a motion to amend.
It was, yes, he wanted to do this. We voted on it, it failed.
Okay.
Do I do it again?
No, because the alternative was voted on.
Yes, okay. Here's the ruling on that. No, we can't do that because it was amended, and we have to rule on what we voted on. So the amendments that were tried and failed can't be brought up again. Okay, what's your next one?
If that's the case, then I'll let it slide.
Okay. All right. Now, I know we didn't put member comments, you couldn't sign up for this because we didn't know if the reconsideration was going to pass. So at this time, if there are any members who would like to come forward to speak to this motion, not the motion to reconsider, but this motion about forming the board member exchange, please come up and you can have your time to speak 3 minutes. Okay, hearing, oh, somebody's coming.
Don Shorgy, 27140. I was on the board for 3 years back when this was the normal procedure to have the board member exchange. I found it to be very fruitful and useful, but there is one caution I would hope you would consider, and that is the fact that anybody can come up and bring up any subject they want at these meetings. And there may be a club or there may be a group of people who are strongly for or against a motion or to make a motion. They will come in force with as many people as they can, and they will line up behind the microphone, and they will all begin to say the same thing ad infinitum. I would suggest you put in some sort of a clause where that when you have had 1 or 2 people who have made their point, that the next speaker, unless they have something new to add, or else you are going to sit there listening to the same thing over and over and over. It is free speech. It is free speech. But my point is, the point has been made. What you're trying to do is make a point. If the point has been made, then why go on and on just repeating the same thing? That is my point. The other thing is, to give an example of how this works, is whether you know it or not, the board of directors, we used to meet at Lakeview, and we all had reserved parking places for the board of directors only, right at the entrance where there was the lift. At one board member exchange, a handicapped person came in and said that there was insufficient handicap parking outside, and he wanted something different. What could we do? This board, the previous board, we met shortly after that, decided we didn't need the parking, the handicapped did. I talked to Jim Wellman, and within 1 week, after one comment was made by one disabled member, there were new handicap parking right by the entrance, and the board just parked wherever they could. This can be very fruitful. I would endorse you reestablishing the member exchanges. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, the motion before you is to amend bylaws Article 5, titled Board of Directors, Section 5, titled Meetings of the Board, as previously stated. Vice President Agee, as maker of the motion, do you wish to speak first in favor of its adoption?
Yes, Madam President. Again, I just want to reiterate what several supporters of this motion have stated. I would just like to speak to the fact that the member exchange is a great opportunity for members and the board, and in some cases as well as management, to openly share ideas, thoughts, and concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay.
Madam President, we don't have discussion, but since I'm the secretary, I want to note that Director Collins is now here.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Secretary Lanevsky, will you please take the roll call vote?
Madam President, yes. But since Director Collins missed the previous conversation, could we let him know what the vote is on? He came in the middle after the discussion.
Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay. Sorry about that, Steve. Okay, the motion to reconsider has passed, and now we're voting on the third reading of the motion to amend the bylaws. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Director McAdam.
No.
Treasurer Aiken.
Yes.
Vice President Agi.
Yes.
Director Nowakowski.
No.
Director Wilson.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Fimmel.
Yes.
I vote yes.
The motion
Yes.
passes.
Yes, 6-2.
6-2. Okay. Any new business? Director McAdam.
Yes, I move that both member comments and board member comments be restored to the agenda of this meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Nowakowski. Okay. Director McAdam, would you like to comment to the motion?
Sure. I think that, especially because we're not under any particular time constraints at this moment, and that we have heard very clearly from our members that they would like to be able to have a chance to address issues above and beyond what posted motions may have been, I would like to give them the chance to do that. I think it's important for us to listen.
Okay, is that for today only, or is that always?
For now, it's just for today.
Oh, so it's, okay, reread it again then, because I didn't catch that.
I move that member comments and board member comments be restored to the agenda of this meeting.
Of today's meeting. Okay, and seconded by John. Discussion? Discussion? Okay, one question for clarification. Members have been able to come up and comment throughout this meeting. Are you asking for, you have to be more specific, I guess.
Well, that's why I used the word restore, that for as long as I've been on the board,
So you're
both
talking about at the
in my
end.
first aborted term and in this term, we have allowed for 2 items at the end of the, between new business and the next meeting date and the motion to adjourn, that were called member comments and board member comments. And I'm asking that they be restored to the agenda of this meeting, allowing members who are here and any board members who would wish to comment on something other than agenda items to have their chance to speak.
Okay, thank you. That helps. Is there any discussion on this motion? Secretary Lanevsky.
I do. Much as I'm sympathetic to Director McAdams' motion, the problem that I have is I sat in this room when the board was ready to say we may, or instead of shall, follow Robert's Rules of Order. The membership spoke clearly that Robert's Rules of Order had to be followed. The board decided to follow Robert's Rules of Order. The comments are not allowed. General comments are not, please let me finish, Mr. Adams. The Robert's Rules of Order don't allow for it. I wish that that we had a different rule set, but we have to follow the rules. And we'll be working on changing the bylaws in the immediate future. But at this point, I have to follow what the Robert's Rules of Order say. Thank you.
Thank you. Director McAdam.
Yes, I would like to point out the fallacy of that statement, and it is as follows. We did not vote to say that Robert's Rules of Order would eliminate any statements in our bylaws. What we did say is that where our bylaws are silent, Robert's Rules of Order is the parliamentary rule book that we follow as a default mechanism when our bylaws are silent. In this case, our bylaws are not silent. It is both a matter of bylaws and a matter of tradition and history that members are allowed to speak. So it is not a contradiction to the decision to follow Robert's Rules of Order in as much as our bylaws remain silent.
Director Akins?
Yes, it does say in our bylaws that members are allowed to speak at our board meetings. However, members are allowed to speak at our board meetings because you're allowed to speak on the agenda items. It does not specifically say that it has to be a separate item on the agenda.
Madam Chair,
Director Nowakowski?
it also doesn't say that it should be limited to a certain series of discussions.
Madam Chair.
Director Collins?
Madam Chair, the motion which you requested was just passed. This is in terms, an olive branch to the public. And for one meeting, I don't understand why there's a big issue on this, since clearly that is one of the bylaws that is going to have to be looked at, because it does not specifically state only board agenda comments. It could be member comments. Either way it is taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Okay, with there being no further comments, Karen, would you please read your motion again for the record?
I move that both member comments and board member comments be restored to the agenda of this meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Secretary Lanevsky, will you please take the roll call vote?
Director McAdam.
Yes.
Treasurer Akins.
No.
Vice President Agi.
Yes.
Director Nowakowski.
Yes.
Director Wilson.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Fimmel.
Yes.
I vote no. The vote is 6-2 in favor of the motion.
Very good. Okay, at this time, there being no further business, we are opening the floor for member comments.
Madam President, I actually have people who did sign up.
For member comments?
Yes.
Oh, well, surprise, surprise, okay.
I will read them off. Peter McClendon,
I guess they planned it.
Randy Becker, Charlie Peterson, Shirley Bostwick, Alice Ritzman, and Chris Wilcox.
If your name was called, if you wouldn't mind coming up and sitting in the front row here, so, you know, it just helps us to, you don't have to trip to get your way up here. Thank you. Okay.
So Peter?
Yes, thanks. Peter McLeod, 127204. I'm addressing the potential building of a gymnasium at Mountain View, and clearly for it. For my interest, personally, for use of it, is largely to play basketball. And I see there at a gymnasium, not just basketball for people like myself who will play in a competitive environment, but leagues at various ages, teams that would play in tournaments at even finer age groups, 5-year age groups, developmental leagues, how to play basketball, supported by the club, and perhaps most importantly in terms of the evolution would be women's basketball. We have a few women who have wanted to play. It's hard, it's a game that it's hard to play in that environment, and development of women's basketball, both learning and then also people coming back who have played various calibers of competitive, would have an opportunity to also develop their organizations through the basketball. Volleyball, major use, maybe not quite so many barriers to entry. It's often played mixed. It's often played with a variety of levels with just a slight adaptation of the rules, but still development of leagues, drop-ins, in all levels of environment, many tournaments as well. There's other uses to the gymnasium, and I think that Charlie Peterson has written all the board and talked about some of those. So I just want to touch on one of them, which is fitness use. Personally, my background is in public recreation. Sadly, 50 years. My background is in operations, especially in finance and budget of organizations and of the operations of facilities, and mostly my calling would be, I would say, would be in the programming, making things happen at recreation facilities. I just noticed 42 people in a water exercise class, and I think that we would have the same in gentle fitness type activities in a gymnasium. Instructor-led, we could develop a whole tremendous program on that, self-financing. And finally, the other point I'd like to make is that we have a drawing, we have a facility, build it now, a facility plan, build it now. It's only going to cost more later. It's only going to be a scramble to find space later. We've got 6 pools, 6 fitness facilities. I use them, I love them. We have 0 gymnasiums. Putting one into the mix would be a valuable asset. Thanks.
Thank you.
Randy Becker?
Randy Becker, 119810. There's a moratorium right now on proceeding with the Mountain View remodel to allow people to express objections. I kind of have an objection to the need for that, but I'll get back to that in a minute. My particular area is the gymnasium, because one of the objections was about having a gymnasium, and I think it's very vital that we do have one. Peter already laid out a lot of the uses, so I won't go into that. But it is a multi-use facility involving social, fitness, and sporting events, including pickleball in the summer when it's hot. That's something that a lot of people would really like it for. My particular area is also basketball, and the benefits of basketball. It is one of the, if not the best way to get in shape that there is for an old person. I don't have any background in basketball, playing it in organizations or anything, but a few years ago, I got the opportunity to play with some old guys, seniors, twice a week for about an hour and a half each time. When I first started out, I couldn't make it down the court twice without being winded and had to walk after that. I was really embarrassed. After a month, I could get up and down a little bit, but not very good. But after 3 months, I was going up and down like a teenager. It was unbelievable. I did not believe it was me. And also in that time, I lost 15 pounds in those 3 months. And when that opportunity to play expired, I tried to keep in shape by swimming laps. I'm a good swimmer. I worked hard as hell. Didn't work. When I got to playing basketball again, I had to go through the process again of getting back in shape because I had no wind again. Tried jogging. It was a little more helpful, but it was spectacularly boring, so I couldn't do that either. But I'm just saying that what happened to me, I've seen a lot of other people go through the same process over the years, and there's people in here that think that they can't get around and do things like basketball anymore. A lot of you would be wrong. Anyway, enough of basketball. The reason I'm talking is about the moratorium. Seems like we started reviewing and planning for this remodel 5 years ago. Since then, there have been very select committees working very hard and diligently to go through all the pros and cons of the various proposals for the new facility. There's been a lot of opportunity for comments, both pro and con. I think we should respect the hard work that's been done and the great results that have come out of it. Please end this moratorium now, and let's proceed with the remodel as it is planned.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie Peterson?
Yeah, Charlie Peterson, 130438. Thank you, Board, for letting me talk today. I'm a member of both the basketball and volleyball clubs, and just wanted to speak as well to the moratorium on the Mountain View remodel. As the last speaker mentioned, there's been all kinds of opportunities for people to voice their opinions over the past 5 years. And, you know, at the end of that last June, the board did approve the Mountain View remodel. This last January, it was put on hold for 90 days. And I guess my contention is that there was plenty of opportunity for input and feedback to the board and other venues in regards to the Mountain View remodel prior to its approval in 2021. And I think to put the project on hold for a so-called kind of a redo or a do-over seems at best disingenuous and at the worst disrespectful to all the people that put time and energy into coming up with this plan and have it go forward. And I think the reality is by the time the Mountain View project might be done, many of us might be too old to even take advantage of it. However, by providing this kind of a venue, Sun City will be a step ahead of other retirement communities, and this kind of a facility would be a great attraction to potential new residents. So if we want to attract these new residents, I think we need to stay ahead of the curve. And this kind of a multi-purpose facility does exactly that. So again, I urge you to waive the moratorium and proceed on the Mountain View remodel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shirley Bostwick?
(114-208), Shirley Bostwick. I would like you to think about the club you belong to that's most important to you, and then multiply it times 9 of how many people join your club. Then you go into your club each morning and do whatever it is for 15 minutes. And you have to walk outside and stand on the sidewalk because there's so many people in your club that you have to wait and give them a turn. That's what we do in pickleball. I've been bringing friends from Washington here for 11 years. And we're overloaded with members now. We have over 900 members in that pickleball club. On February 25th, I took a friend of mine to practice for our tournament. And at first, we played. It takes about 15 minutes for a game. As the people came in, we were standing out there because we don't have enough chairs. There was 32 paddles up there waiting to play, plus people that just gave up and went home. We need more courts. We're growing rapidly. And my friend says, when you showed me this place, I loved it. I've drove through here, but I've never seen anything. And she says, when you took me around, I made up my mind I wanted to stay here until we went to pickleball, which is her favorite sport. She golfs, she does pottery and woodworking, everything. But pickleball is her favorite, and she could not fathom having to stand there that long to wait to play. Please reconsider. We need more courts. We're over 900 people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Wilcox.
My name is Chris Wilcox, member number 149022. First of all, I'm going to second what the three gentlemen said about the gym for Mountain View. I'm actually the youngest player in the basketball club that we have, and I would certainly like to still be young when we have a gym in Sun City. So I would express my interest in ending the moratorium on making the gym progress, or the whole renovation of Mountain View progress a lot faster than what I've heard, anywhere from 5 years to 20 years in the making. So I love basketball. I don't have to motivate myself to play basketball. I'm also a pickleball player, and I also love to golf. But basketball is a passion that I have. I would love to help people learn how to play basketball, get some clubs, other clubs going when this gym is built. I'll probably be in a position at that time because I, as a younger person, still have those evil 4 letters in my life called work. Mm-hmm. So I am taking work off today to share my interest in making this gym come to life. So whatever you guys can do to make this happen faster, I would certainly appreciate it. It's going to be a win for Sun City because there are no indoor facilities. There's so many opportunities of what you can do with that open space. It's not only basketball, but you got badminton, volleyball. You can put a walking track at the top. You know, there's many things. There's rock climbing walls. I'm sure there's some other things that can be done that are movable. You have a lot of moving pieces. I'm sure that facility would be in use a lot. And I would like to be a part of that to make it happen. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam President, there are another names signed up.
Excuse me. Oh, why don't you just come on up to the mic?
I was called once.
Oh, okay. Well, she's new. She's stepping in for somebody.
Alice Ritzman, 144148. I bought in Sun City about 4 years ago, and I bought because of pickleball. At the time, 4 years ago, I thought this was the greatest community ever because not only did it have the pickleball facilities that I wanted, but there was literally, in my opinion, something for everything, or something for everyone. Mm-hmm. At that point in time, I considered the number of courts adequate, but as Shirley pointed out, the pickleball club has grown in leaps and bounds in the last 3 years or so. This is no longer true that we have an adequate number of courts. There are long wait times and a lot of people going back and forth between Mountain View and Marinette trying to find a place where they can get a court to play. I would urge you to make the decision to convert the Lakeview tennis courts into pickleball courts, refinishing them so that we will have more courts available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now there are no other names on the list.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to? Oh, absolutely.
My name is Milt Lebsack, 130662. I'd like to speak to this gym issue again. I've sent letters to the board. I've put letters in the newspaper. I don't particularly have an objection to a gym. I do have a very strong objection to the current plan to destroy pickleball courts in order to put in a gym at Mountain View. I have been a volleyball player in the Sun City area for the last 10 years. I play at Villanueva Senior Center, the same place that the basketball group meets 2 afternoons a week. I do not play basketball, but nonetheless I use the same facility. I am very disturbed with the idea, as other people have stated, we need more pickleball courts. We do not need to demolish existing pickleball courts or disturb them in any way in order to build an indoor gymnasium. No other Sun City development or senior development in the area has an indoor gym, and there's a good reason for it, because it's primarily, inevitably would be used more by non-senior groups than it would be used by senior groups in order to make sufficient utilization of the gym. I currently use the gyms in Rio Vista in Peoria and the Villanueva Center in Surprise. And I'd also like to make a comment directly to Mr. Peterson, although I have no personal animosity toward him. He has never attended a volleyball session. He is only listed as a contact member for the volleyball club. He is not an active volleyball player. There have been numerous attempts to gain support from volleyball players in Sun City West, Sun City Grand, Surprise, Peoria, to support a Sun City volleyball club. There have been numerous attempts to get a gym built. One of the other main problems that would occur and has occurred regarding outdoor volleyball in Sun City West, which was attempted a number of years ago, and at that time, anyone who was not a Sun City West resident was required to get a guest permit and to use the facility. The same would be true in Sun City. The number of participants in Sun City would not be adequate to make proper utilization of the facility, and persons from other jurisdictions, from Sun City West, Sun City Grand, or other surrounding seniors, would probably have to go through the same guest procedures that they do for other activities here. There are a number of reasons why gyms have not been built in other senior facilities, and I think that's sufficient reason that it shouldn't, that if it is built here, it should not be at the expense of existing pickleball courts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Whoops, my turn. Christy Svensson, 137-489, and I'm here to talk about Mountain View specifically, and I call it the Cinderella Project, not because, and I'm not going to do any performance poetry describing it, but Cinderella had a little tiny slipper, and her stepsister tried to put on her slipper and it wouldn't fit. And that's exactly what's happening with Mountain View. Cinderella is bound by traffic, by residents, and there's no way that everything is going to fit on that footprint that we've got there right now. My opinion. Okay, secondly, the basketball court and the theater right next to each other is insanity. And I'm bolstering something that someone else said, but I swear to God that there are not theaters, Orpheum is not built next to the Suns Stadium for a good reason, because the noise is just deafening. And also traffic. Now, I've been pounding on this one for a long time, traffic and parking and traffic. The people that want the basketball courts are talking about leagues and tournaments now, and the players all want to have plays and all kinds of stuff going on. What kind of traffic is that going to cause? I asked the architect last meeting, what kind of a traffic study did you do? And he said, we didn't do one. We didn't have to because it's similar use. A new basketball court and a new theater is similar use to what we have up there right now. I don't think so, but that's the way it goes. Okay, so that's my conclusion. I'm saying no to Mountain View, period, because it's going to be an embarrassment down the line. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Lizbeth Smoot, 134685, and you've heard people talk about there are over 900 members in the Sun City Pickleball Club. I want to be more specific. January 26th of this year, 2022, we had 751 members. As of yesterday, March 13th, we had 905 members. We're growing that rapidly. We had, a week ago, we had a tournament where there were over 400 people at the Marinette facility competing in a 3-day pickleball tournament. They were competing and attending that tournament with over 400 people. We couldn't have any more because we didn't have the courts. Also, I want to point out that with the influx of people who are coming specifically to play pickleball in this community, we are unable to provide the beginning and intermediate teaching classes that are needed because we don't have the court space. So that would be an advantage for people coming here to be able to take free pickleball classes, but we have trouble doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, wait, Christy, he's going to speak first. No, Ben, you.
No. My mother would whack me if I didn't let her go.
Okay.
Okay, Christy Svensson, 137489, and I forgot to mention this last time I was up here, but for anyone who believes that there is a phase 3 at Mountain View that's going to provide pickleball courts, forget it. It's not going to be there. You know why? Because parking and traffic is already going to be a zoo if this place is built. So there will be no pickleball, no lawn bowling, no even mini golf there. It's going to be gone. Okay. I'm sorry to say that, but that's a fact.
I respectfully disagree.
My opinion.
That's fine. Your opinion. Okay. I'm glad you stated that.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning. Ben Roloff, 12663. Actually, I have a question for Bill, but you can listen if you wish. Bill, I was sitting here listening, and I'm looking at for 25 years now on the red lines on the floor. The only reason I put it out is because they've never been used for anything. And I asked your predecessor about it 3 or 4 times. And the only reason I point it out is the fact that your job is a hard one. You know that, because it's called repurposing. But when we build facilities, they last a really long time. No one remembers why these marks were put down, what they were for. But there have been some things that have happened that we understand, and we really like. So I come in peace today to thank you over and over for many years when we repurposed this particular room, thanks to the recommendation of your events and entertainment for the Wednesday night entertainment sessions. Phenomenal. And it's only gotten better each year. We got in line in the dark the first year that tickets went on sale, and have been doing that ever since. And we've come here and we've seen the changes. The quality of the entertainment is fabulous. What you have approved in prior boards with the improvements in the sound system in here, it's marvelous. The screens and the projection and all the follow lights that are now available. Performers used to come off the stage and they got lost in the dark. Everything just gets better every year. It is a true joy to bring our company down and show them off, and they look and their comment is often, "You got to be kidding me." It is such a wonderful surprise for them. And we say, yeah, and we'll be back here next Wednesday, and the next Wednesday, and the next Wednesday. So thank you very much. There's a lot of good things happening in Sun City, in the Sun City Recreation Department. Bless you.
Thank you. And kudos to Teresa up in the booth. Oh, come on.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Dave Whelan, 17077. I'm going to comment on what I call the Kabuki Theater regarding the board member exchange. Its structure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's actually quite simple, and I am going to do it in less than 3 minutes. Board member exchange. I served on the board when we had these. Consisted of call to order, pledge to the flag. Floor is open for board members to comment. They comment, we adjourn, and everybody goes home. I mean, how complicated is that? If the people here don't understand it, I'll be happy to explain it later. The other is, okay, I forgot. And I admit it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl McLean, 100212. Stupid comment here maybe, but someone just brought up this room. This is bigger than my high school basketball court. Could this not be multi-purpose, like they said, for a basketball court? When I've come over here during the summer to walk in here because it's closer to my home than Fairway to go walking, and actually it's cooler in here than Fairway walking in the summer afternoon, and it's just empty. It's not being used. Let's use these multi-purpose rooms for that. Yes, you have all the cameras and everything up here, but I think it could be used for a basketball court or volleyball court, and I don't play either, so it doesn't affect me, but it's just an idea for right now, in the meantime, before everything else is built.
Thank you.
Yeah, Charlie Peterson, 130438. Actually, we did approach management about using the facility for basketball and volleyball 5 years ago, and they turned us down because the floor would take too much wear and tear. That was part of it, but also the audio-visual equipment and so forth that costs thousands of dollars would be put at risk. So that's why we've been in favor of a facility at Mountain View for a gym. And I did want to respond to Mr. Liebsack. I do play volleyball, not with them at Villanueva. I have other things like golf that I do when they're playing volleyball. I happen to play with a church league. However, I also wanted to comment in regards to the demand. If a gym was built, Mr. Liebsack feels that there wouldn't be the demand. And I guess I would say, where would the pickleball club be without facilities? How many people would be playing pickleball if they had to go off campus like we do? They've got a great facility, therefore they've got a lot of members and a lot of demand. You could say the same thing about the entertainment we have in Sun City. How many people are going to stray off out of Sun City for entertainment, but because they have it here, it's very popular. And I think the same thing would go for a gymnasium. Once it's built, there would be all kinds of opportunities for people to get involved. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Let me flip my page. Board, any announcements by the board? Anybody have an announcement? Yes?
Are we doing board comments?
Well, I was hoping you were going to do an announcement if you had one.
Okay.
You have an announcement?
Yes, please.
Well, go ahead.
We heard a lot about Mountain View.
This doesn't sound like an announcement.
I am not against a gymnasium. I am not against a theater. I am against possibly a theater being there because we do have to disrupt so many things and rebuild it when we're finished. But as far as a theater, I want to see a basketball court and everything else. Maybe not in the exact locations where it is, but I do want to see it. My only issue is we had the lake last meeting, and it went up 33% just since October. And if anybody out there, I mean, if you don't think that the cost of Mountain View has gone up, you're going to be sadly mistaken, because you can go in a grocery store right now and you're seeing it. My only objection right now is it's the wrong time to build. We have a functioning theater, we have a functioning rec center, and maybe we just need to slow down and see where this country is going and what is going to happen here. Because if it goes up 30%, it may be stopped because we might not have enough money with a 30% increase. And like Bill said, we don't want to tear anything down if we can't pay for it. So as inflation goes up, this cost goes up, and the restraints become tighter and tighter. We're already out 15 years on a PIF. Are we going to increase it to 20 or 25? These are all things that come into account here. It's not that people don't want what you want. There's other issues, and maybe the timing or location. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
Madam President, can I just comment as well, following on to Mr. Collins' comment, that in the initial member comments today, there was a statement about the moratorium is for a redo or a do-over. And as we've gone on time, people have made comments. You heard them here today. But the moratorium wasn't for do-overs or for additional comments. The moratorium was to afford an opportunity for new board members such as myself to look at all of the aspects of this process. Steve's point is well taken. It's more about what should we build? Where should we build it? How much will we pay to build it? And I hope to speak to that, not today, but I hope to speak to that in the immediate future about some ideas for the process. But it's about the process, not about people having additional opportunities to comment. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. All right, I have an announcement. Our next meeting will be March 31st, 2022, the Sundial Auditorium here at 9 o'clock. And I'm looking forward to the board member exchange, which will be the second Monday in April. There being no further business, this meeting will be adjourned. And please don't forget to take your cell phones out and turn them back on. Thank you.
This is a copywritten production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.